For thousands of years, ancient cultures around the world have been using the practice of sound healing, a healing practice which uses specific audio tones and vibrational frequencies to repair damaged tissue and cells within the body. It works on the basis that all matter is vibrating at specific frequencies, and sickness, disease, depression, and stress cause human beings to vibrate at a lower frequency. Playing tones in specific frequencies that promote healing, happiness, and vitality can even allow DNA strands to repair themselves, and several scientific studies have been conducted on the potential healing benefits of audio sound frequencies. Sound has been used as a healing tool for centuries and is still regularly utilized by many different alternative healthcare centers. Tibetan singing bowls, tuning forks, drumming therapy, and even chanting are all used in sound therapy, and many participants experience strong emotions during therapy sessions. Advocates of sound healing claim that it has the power to heal mental illness, arthritis, autoimmune disorders, and can even shrink cancerous tumors. But the most amazing thing associated with frequency, vibration, and energy is that we can use them to reprogram our DNA and unlock the unlimited potential of our bodies alongside the hidden abilities of our minds. The phrase junk DNA has haunted human genetics for years. Scientists are trying to tell us that 97% of our DNA is nothing more than a useless piece of junk, simply because they don't know what its properties are. This 97% of our DNA may hold the greatest secrets of humanity as a species and may unlock unimaginable powers. This has been proven by researchers from the Gene and Stem Cell Therapy program at Sydney's Centenary Institute, who discovered that there is much more to the inactive part of our DNA than we can even imagine. This leads me to the amazing quote by Jennifer Cruz, which states, "Science has already proven some of the wisdom which the explorers of consciousness have shared throughout time. 95% of DNA appears inactive. Science has named it junk DNA. We look forward to the scientific discoveries which will force them to change the name of junk DNA to jump drive DNA. There is unlimited information within you, accessible via consciousness." There are several modalities still yet to be approved by science, which might in one way or the other help us to reprogram or retrain our DNA. And that might even help us deal with cancerous cells or cells mutilated by an array of toxins from the environment. It can also help us fight emotional challenges, which are known to have adverse effects on health. With the way our human DNA communicates and transfers a vast amount of information via various streams of network, it has led to the comparison of the human DNA to a powerful supercomputer. There are many atoms in one molecule of DNA, as there are stars in the galaxy. 1 gram of DNA can potentially hold up to 455 exabytes of information. And for reference, 1 exabyte is equal to 1 billion gigabytes. This enormous information stored in the human DNA may hold the key to our spontaneous healing, cell regeneration, enhanced intuition, and even psychic phenomena that science is still trying to understand. Gaining this important insight will one way or the other affect mainstream science as we have come to know it, and perhaps even the entire nature of our civilization. There are several scientists and spiritual teachers who are of the opinion that our DNA can be altered by light and sound frequencies in a way that has a direct influence on our biology. The DNA, in a way, is a kind of language, although a complex one. Biological approach, along with computer simulations, have been met with a challenge when trying to understand this sophisticated language. DNA is drawn together in specific sequences and formations of information, but it is the junk DNA that ultimately decides if, for instance, you can see clairvoyantly or whether your cells can cause you to get cancer. Another interesting discovery regarding our DNA comes from biologists Dr. David Deemer and Susan Alexander. With a master's degree in music, they discovered that DNA does, in fact, create its own unique music. How they came to this knowledge was by measuring the actual molecular vibrations of DNA, and then used an infrared spectrophotometer to carry out the recording of these vibrations in the form of music. Each section of the DNA was exposed to infrared light, and the wavelength it absorbed was measured to determine the sound frequency. What came out was hauntingly beautiful music. And as Alexander said, some of the combination's frequencies were simply just stunning, and it felt like it was alive to me. While the concept of restructuring DNA and singing DNA with intentional frequency is both exciting and inspiring to our expansive imagination, the idea is undoubtedly challenging to practically apply. However, science does offer a sort of confirmation that light and sound can actually, in a way, directly influence the healing process of the body. This was what a team of researchers at the University of Cincinnati came to the knowledge of in their research. They observed a measurable success when they applied high-frequency electrical signals to vascular cells, and this produced a significant effect in healing severe and recurring wounds, such as diabetic ulcers. For several years, it has been aired out by many that the man who created a frequency healing machine had the potential to eradicate and provide a cure for various diseases, fungal, bacterial, parasites, and viral infections. His machine was even believed to be able to cure cancer. Royal Rife gives a valid suggestion that each and every living organism has its own specific resonant frequency, and exposing the body to electrical currents which target certain pathogens, certain ailments and diseases, can neutralize, destroy, and eradicate them without any need of invasive and pharmaceutical procedures. The ancient Chinese system of medicine, known as acupuncture, works in a very similar way. It connects with the body's energy conduits and systems directly, and it has provided potent healing opportunities to several million people both in the past and present, and recently it has even been validated by scientific research. A series of experiments conducted by neuroelectric therapy engineer Dr. Margaret Patterson and Dr. Ivor Capel revealed how alpha brainwaves boosted the production of serotonin in the brain. Dr. Capel explained, "As far as we can tell, each brain center generates impulses at a specific frequency based on the predominant neurotransmitter it secretes. In other words, the brain's internal communication system, its language if you like, is based on frequency. Presumably, when we send in waves of electrical energy at, say, 10 Hz, certain cells in the lower brainstem will respond because they normally fire within that frequency range." Additional research upholds the beliefs of mind-body medicine in this sense, stating that brainwaves being in the alpha state of 8 to 14 Hz permit a vibration allowing for more serotonin to be created. This may explain why most music worldwide has been tuned to 440 Hz, since the International Standards Organization promoted it in 1953. When looking at the vibratory nature of the universe, it's possible that this specific pitch isn't harmonious with the natural resonance of nature and may generate negative effects on human behavior and consciousness. It's said that 440 Hz frequency music actually conflicts with some of our chakras that reside from the base of the spine to the heart. It is said that this frequency stimulates the ego, and left brain function, which can suppress our intuition. There are tons of conspiracies surrounding this frequency, and many seem plausible given the fact that the mainstream music industry has incorporated propaganda and mind control for decades. Many people believe that the change of frequency was specifically created by the government as another way to suppress our intuition and psychic powers, just like the incorporation of fluoride in our drinking water. In fact, the 440 Hz tuning and the adding of fluoride in the drinking water were both introduced by Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi minister of propaganda, and both methods were successful in keeping the masses under control. Since ancient times, there was a specific frequency which had presumed healing and soothing properties. The 432 Hz is said to be mathematically consistent with the patterns of the universe. It is said that 432 Hz vibrates with the universe's golden mean and unifies the properties of light, time, space, matter, gravity, and magnetism with biology, the DNA code, and consciousness. When our atoms and DNA start to resonate in harmony with the spiraling pattern of nature, our sense of connection to nature is said to be magnified. The number 432 is also reflected in ratios of the sun, earth, and moon, as well as the procession of the equinoxes, the Great Pyramid of Egypt, Stonehenge, and the Sri Yantra, among many other sacred sites. Tuning instruments to 432 Hz is an ancient practice, and many musicians who still do so state that they choose this frequency because it's more beautiful and harmonious for the ears. Many people choose to conduct work or meditate to this music because it can have a calming or comforting effect. All of these examples point to one specific direction, and that is the ancient spiritual idea that the human body is packed with a subtle energetic system that can be altered in a way by intention, light, and sound frequencies. For an understanding of these practical terms, it is vital to have the sensitivity first to detect this energy, and then direct it to where it is needed. But for many people, the entire process acquiring the sensitivity is too tasking, and with several methods to be incorporated into part of a daily routine. Several individuals simply lack the patience to actualize this, and not to forget our fast-paced environment usually doesn't give the opportunity to achieve this awareness. Still thriving on making fundamental advances in grasping and understanding the quantum universe as a whole, the ancient healing ability of shamanism has been gaining momentum of late, and its role in healing and development is now a part of everyday discussion. It is even touted that shamanism may, after all, hold the key to healing through sound and energy, as it provides the best example of how the combination of directed energy and sound can lead to healing in the mind and body. Shamanism employs a rather interesting method in its healing process. In a shamanic healer's toolkit, the most used and essential healing agent is the Icaros, a sacred song sung by the doctor to the patient. This is done to affect the well-being and health of the patient by enchanting the unseen spiritual forces and influences that have a hold on the individual's body and mind. In addition to the use of Icaros, shamans also employ other tuning or musical instruments, along with bundled dried leaves, to create sounds that have an influential hold on the body's energetic system. Usually combined with different plant medicines, shamanic practices have a potent positive influence on the sick. And in recent times, scientists are now recognizing the potential benefits of the alkaloid-rich medicine in ayahuasca in the fight against cancer. A recent publication by Eduardo Schonberg of the Federal University of Sao Paulo that the harmine and DMT compounds found in ayahuasca have been observed to inhibit the proliferation of human carcinoma cells and expedite the death of some cancer cells. As much as reductionist science offers a good way of isolating molecular reactions, any research that revolves around the subject of ayahuasca is a long way from completion without indicating the potent benefits of shamanic healers. The truth still remains that shamanic healers are always the ones with the ability to bring out the highest energetic potential of the chemical compounds present within ayahuasca or any other medicinal plant. The administration of the compounds without the consent and authorization of genuine shamanism is shallow and apparently lacks the full concept of the healing potential of shamanic medicines. The use of Icaros, which is the essential healing agent in shamanism, and other instruments of vibration and sound, can show us that the ancients had a vast understanding of a critical part of science which relies on vibration and frequency to achieve success. Even though the idea that frequency and vibration can in a way affect DNA and the healing process of the body, it is one that is interesting to come to terms with. The theory in itself is one that is challenging to both prove and disprove, and as it has been observed, the answers in one way or the other may not satisfy everyone. Truth, as seen over the years, is all dependent on a person's personal experience in many ways. And when an individual has had a certain level of spiritual experiences that do not fall under the areas of explainable science, unfortunately, they are left in a difficult situation by a world that is bent on disproving mysticism. Indeed, this still raises complications and heated debate, as the world is still dominated by mainstream science that tries to keep mysticism and spirituality in the dark, tagging both as anomalies in brain chemistry and personalities. But as it stands now and in the coming years, the human race is meeting challenges in grasping how to interact, communicate, and relate with the natural world, and that includes our bodies as well. This means that we shouldn't shun other possible explanations and outcomes, and most especially, we must be willing to explore the validity and truthfulness of information received via intuitive experiences. These questions will stay unanswered until they are given more apt attention, with not just a myopic mind, but an open mind to different levels of possibilities.